Believe it or not, PewDiePie just shipped an open source, self-hosted AI agent platform and it hit over 70,000 GitHub stars in 2 days. That's more attention than most funded startups get in a year. This platform runs on your computers with your own models and your own data, so I installed it to push it as hard as it can go so I can see how good it is, if it's worth it for you, and what it can do. I think that most of what's here is where all of AI is heading in the future. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through exactly how you can set this up for free for yourself, all of the different features and value and functionality that you can get use out of it, and what the proper use cases are. Whether you're just setting it up for yourself or your own business, or you're selling this to business owners, I think that the technology here is insane. And honestly, for what you get here for completely free is absolutely insane. So let me walk you guys through everything that you need to know about this and how to set it up. So what he actually built is the thing that you run the models inside. So like the ChatGPT app or the Claude desktop app, except you own the whole thing and it runs on your machine locally. The reason that matters is because right now your AI lives on someone else's server. So every message, every file, every document you upload goes to the company like Claude and it just stays with them. Odysseus completely flips that. So the models, the memory, and all of the files live on hardware that you control. So you can run local models offline, or you can drop in an API key and call the big frontier models whenever you want actual horsepower as well. So one workspace and you decide where all of the intelligence comes from. One of the reasons I think this is so huge is because I run a company that does installs of custom operating systems and agent harnesses. And something like this from a security perspective is so valuable. It also pulls a lot into one place. So chat, agents that take actions, deep research, model comparison, document editing, notes, tasks, and even email and calendar. So it's basically like having your own AI private control room that already has a lot set up for you. So if you are building anything with AI, this is a different model than renting access from OpenAI every month. You basically pay once for the hardware and then you own the stack. Your client data stays on your machine, which matters a lot if you handle anything sensitive, and you stop being exposed to a company changing its pricing or rules. And I want to be straight with you, however, out of the box, this will not feel like ChatGPT. It's a little bit rougher, and the local models are definitely a step behind the frontier ones. It's an early look at where personal AI is going, built by someone with enough reach to make a lot of people pay attention. So I basically tested the way that you would actually use it. So now I'm going to show you how to install this, and everything that you see me doing, I'm going to give you in a document below, so all of the commands or links you can follow along with. So first step, you're going to click this code button here, and then you are going to go to the GitHub CLI, copy this, and then paste it in your terminal. So for your terminal, you can just type terminal on Mac. It'll be your basic terminal. I'm using a custom one called Ghosty. Paste this command into your terminal and hit enter. I have already done this, so this will install for you. It should take a few seconds. Now the next step is doing your prerequisites. So first thing I'm going to do is do brew version to see if I have Homebrew installed. If you do not, you're going to type this command in, which you can follow along with in the guide. However, I'm not going to do that because I already have this installed. The next thing you need to do is make sure you have Git installed. So you can just do git -- version, and as you can see, I have it installed, but once again, if not, you're simply going to just run this command here that is in the guide. Next step is to see if you have Ollama installed. So I do, but if you don't, there are more detailed steps in this guide here, and that should take about a minute to do. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is do my current directory to my desktop. So you're just gonna type this command here. Now we've already cloned that GitHub repo, so we don't need to do this next command, and then I'm going to type this here. Then once we've done this, we're going to type this next command in here. I've already made this, so I will get a different output than you, but after you have ran that, you can set your current directory to Odysseus, and then once you've typed that in, you can now type this, and then eventually you're going to get stopped at this point where you can just hit enter, and then you're going to make a password for yourself. It is a pseudo password, so you're not actually going to see the password being typed, but once you type in the password and confirm it, just hit enter. Now the next step after that is done is it's going to launch your browser. So in here is where you're going to do your sign in or sign up process. I have already made an account, so I'm just going to sign in. Now for the sign up here, it's just going to say login. So it's simply going to just be the username that you just put in and the password that you just typed. If you just hit enter and you didn't have a username, you just type admin into the login and then type the password that you just typed in. So now we are in, and the first step is to add the model. So you go to settings, and then we are going to paste this endpoint in here. Now this is assuming that you want to use Ollama as the model. This is the default endpoint for it. This is the local path. So this is everything we want to run on our machine. These can be all of our other models, so like Anthropic, OpenAI, and so on. In this case, however, I want to add this. So you just click add. If you'd rather use your API from anything else, just do it here. After you've added that endpoint, you can see added models here. And then if you open this, I would just disable this here. We're going to use this model here, Quen. However, these are always updating, so just use whatever model is there. Now, the first feature I want to talk about is the idea of agents. Now, agents gives the AI the ability to take actions on your computer and not just answer the questions. So instead of you doing things manually, you can describe a task and it will execute it. The agent can do things like run shell commands for you, like terminal commands, run scripts, read and write files, open, edit, create, delete files on your machine, browse the web for you, navigate URLs, extract content, fill forms, platforms, search the web, interact with your system, and so on. Like I said, this runs locally. So this has access to your computer, similar to something like Claude Code, what that can do. And also the brain. So this is pretty cool because this has a built-in self-learning memory based on how I talk to it, and it will capture details of how I interact with it. So the first thing here we have is memories. You can search all of your existing memories. I don't have any right now because I just set this up blank. You have all of your skills here, and it will learn from you as you go. Now, let's say I want to add a ton of stuff to this knowledge base. If I want, I can upload it directly from there, or I can just dump a ton of files in here and tell it to save these all to the brain. This will start processing and save it all for you to the brain. And then once you have these all in the chat, you can just send it to the memory, and then it will start pulling these all into the memories, and likewise with all the skills and so on. And then now across all chats, this will be consistent. Now you have this other cool feature as well called compare, where you can compare two different models. So now I'm trying to switch the model here, but it seems like this pop-up keeps coming behind this other pop-up. So I'm having a basically impossible time to pick the model, but after I finally get it, you can start running these and compare them side by side. So we will hit start. We're going to type in this prompt here that is basically just doing some math for a sales pitch for a skeptical business owner. Now I've set it to compare models blind because I can kind of score them and then vote on which one is better. This one completed it in 4.79 seconds, and this one has 37 seconds in running. So I'm pretty sure you can guess which one is which. So I'm gonna vote B. And as you can guess, this is Opus 4.8. I noticed the Quen model, because it's running locally, is not only making my fans on my computer go insane over simple prompts, but it is extremely slow. So that is the one downside to using the local models. It is pretty fun though, because you can kind of have a scoring system and then have your kind of own model arena to play with. Now, speaking of these different models and the speeds they run, the next feature here that is pretty cool is called Cookbook. So because we're running local models, this basically, based on your own computer of all of your specs, is going to figure out what model is the best one to run. So I highly recommend using this if you want to run the model locally, because this will give you the best recommendations. There are some other features too, like you have image galleries that you make, library features where you have all of your documents, notes, tasks, and a lot of cool stuff in here. The next feature is deep research. Another cool feature I forgot to mention is you can kind of just drag these windows anywhere you want and size them how you'd like. Now let's do a test on the deep research. So I'm going to just type in this prompt for some business related research. I'm going to do one round, setting the format product. The search engine, we can just do Google, and we're going to test this with the Quen model. So we will hit start, and then we'll start doing some research. So now I want to talk about what is this actually for, who is it for, and how can you get the most use out of it. So it's very fun playing around with this because it has a lot of cool functionality. I like the brain element. The fact that it has access to my computer is something that I could replace Claude Code with per se. Obviously I won't replace Claude Code because it's too good, but this seems more of like a personal thing that I would use myself if I want to keep track of everything I'm doing in my business, especially because of the memory here. But because I have a little bit more of a technical team and the resources to build out more technical solutions, I'm gonna use Hermes because Hermes has an incredible memory. It has way more functionality for what you can do with it. It has a self-learning memory loop and does a really good job at daily operations, recurring tasks, and basically using all of the context it knows about me and what I do with my business and being able to execute for me. Odysseus is not the type of thing you'd have multiple different users log into and use. It's a single user workspace, and it's not really something that knows everything at a grand scale about my business and everything that I do. It's more so a personal workspace that knows things about my business. I like Hermes because I can have all of these different inputs based on different automations and tools that are constantly getting all of this context and information about the business every single day. This could be things like sales calls or client meetings or whatever it is. They're always going there and learning how to improve the system and the tasks and what we do with our business. So for that, I like Hermes better. For the less technical person, this is incredible. And if you don't rely on constantly having to feed all of this context to an AI model on autopilot, then this is phenomenal. This is a great job. You can run it locally, it accesses your computer, and you don't have to be technical. Now, as for selling this to businesses, this is not really something you would sell because it already has an interface and it has its limitations, and the setup is relatively easy. So this is something that business owners who are not technical could go do themselves. I would say the agent harness game typically comes down to OpenClaw and Hermes, and selling those are a separate thing that you can absolutely build a business out of, but I don't think so for this. Not only that, but speed. If you're running this locally, which is kind of the whole point, it's so much slower and you need computer power to some extent. As you can see here, this has been doing research for 16 minutes so far and it's not done yet. And some chats literally took 4 minutes to summarize some information I gave it about our knowledge base. But I think that overall, this is really interesting for the direction of where this is going, because 2 years ago, none of this could run on a personal computer. Now a model on my own machine is writing me a full research report completely offline. So the hardware is definitely catching up, and with NVIDIA shipping machines built to run these models locally, these are going to get insane over time. This is essentially what Odysseus is for. You want to own your software stack, you handle all the data in one place, you keep it on your own hardware. But I think beyond that, I don't see a crazy use case for it. So all the resources and setup guides that you need are in the description. And if you are a business owner and you are interested in the idea of using an agent like OpenClaw or Hermes and training your entire business data on that model, those are kind of my final thoughts. Let me know if you agree, but yeah, peace.